It's such a pleasure and such an honor to be asked to even speak tonight. And I'm humbled and I'm honored, and it's such a joy to be with this company. Um, Amazing things happen here in this space and in this family, and so I'm so excited to be on this journey with you all. And I'm really excited just to share my journey and my story, and hopefully it can be inspiring to you. Maybe there's a nugget or two that you can grab and hold on to from my experience, because I have been able to hold on to the nuggets of others that have paved the way, who have blazed the trail. And so I'm so honored. And so my story goes back to 2016. LifeVantage came into our lives in the midst of a lot of suffering. We were living in Maryland at the time, in Germantown. And during that time, it was 3 years, my husband was getting a doctorate in music. And my mom had passed away of cancer in 2014. In early 2016, I lost our third child, a boy, Atticus, in a stillbirth at 6 months. And it wasn't too long after that, my husband was trying to write a dissertation in the midst of all of this adversity. And Dr. Kat Caden, she reached out and she invited me to take a look. And she knew it wasn't going to be a really great time to jump into a business for obvious reasons. But I knew when I saw that ABC News report and a presentation with Marcy Steiner, I knew like that product needs to get into my body. And so that was the beginning of my journey. I was a customer for 2 solid years. And so just my beginnings here, it's an example of the ITT system. So someone invited me. And then Elizabeth Reiner, who was my midwife during that time, she followed up with me for 2 years. She called me, and a follow-up really is another invite. She invited me to, different calls that different people were having, to local meetings here in Texas, as we had moved in 2016. And so it was just that continual relationship with these different people that eventually kept us, plugged in. And we watched people on social media. So be aware that people will follow you and they'll watch what you do over time, and they're just going to see like what's happening in your life, what's happening in your business. And we saw this expanding and we saw it growing for these people. And we knew whatever they were doing, whatever system they were following, it was working. And so we knew, like, if they can do it, we can do it. I mean, we've endured a lot of things. And so it was at the end of September in 2018, we said, okay, we've got to jump in. Now is the time. We've had some time to heal from things going on. And so let's jump in. And so I was 2 months away from having our rainbow baby. Molly is her name. And 4 weeks after we joined the business, and I'm 4 weeks away from having our child, Molly, I flew out for the global convention in Salt Lake City, Utah, and it was incredible. And I mentioned this because it was a connection to the team, which is the second T in ITT. And it's being tethered with all of these other people that keeps us in this. And so I can't underestimate just how important it is when we are building and we are strengthening these relationships with other people. So for me to be able to see what was happening on a global scale in LifeVantage, and to be able to start building relationships with with these amazing people in my support team, and only to be, these are the very people, fast forward, that are going to help me in this year 2020 to reach Premier Pro 4. And so it's just so amazing that the journey that this has been for me. So I know what you're thinking. Well, how did you do it? What are some of the things that have worked for you? So it took me a solid year to get from Pro 1, and then it's been a year from Pro 3 to Pro 4. And I will say that when our virtual global came around, it's been hard. It's been hard to kind of keep in the game and keep positive, and with all that's gone on in 2020. But one thing that someone said early on was, if you feel stuck, just keep growing. Just keep growing. And so I just kept reminding myself of that, and I just kept with it, and I just kept with it. And I knew, like, everything I'm doing matters. It all compounds in the end. And so what was one thing that really a turning point for me was focusing on other people. Like, is this business going to be a good fit for you when I'm inviting somebody? Is this product something that's going to be a good fit for you? And working on loving other people and where they are, instead of thinking, oh, I need more people, I need more numbers, I got to get that jump in the pool. If the focus is so much on me and my goals and not so much really serving and helping others and loving them wherever they are, if it's not the right timing, that's okay. And I need to honor where they are. So that was a huge shift for me, and it really helped me to surrender. There were several months I was so close to reaching that goal of Pro 4, but it just felt like the wrong time. Like, there was this sticking point, and I just felt like to push through that, it would have been just out of alignment, if you will. It just wouldn't have felt right. And I really just brought so much of my business to the Lord in prayer and just said, is this the right time? Bring the right people in my path to work with. And that divine guidance has been so integral to all of this. And I knew November was right. And I had claimed Pro 4 in the beginning of the month. I took a risk at the end of October. I said to my one business partner, Vicki, who lives down here in Corpus Christi, I said, let's go to Maryland and do the virtual global with our friends and with our support team, and connecting together this small intimate group. It was huge. And it was just one of those extra things that just helped me as I moved forward in November. So November the 25th comes, and we all know what happens on that day, right? The last auto ship of the month, and my volume was huge. Like, I hadn't ever been this close before, and I thought, I gotta go for it. Like, now is the time. Like, I gotta just push. And at the time, at the end of November, I was actually up in Pennsylvania. I was with my sister. She was having her fourth baby. It was Thanksgiving. I mean, there was a lot going on. And so I toiled, like, is this the right time? I'm with family, I'm out of town. But that peace came over, and I knew it's right. And so I surrendered, and I had this great optimism. I envisioned it was happening. Like, I kept saying, I'm reaching Pro 4. I'm reaching Pro 4. It's as good as done. I just didn't know how it was going to happen. So a couple stories to share of just kind of how it unfolded. I coach weekly with Dr. Kat, who is my enroller, and she's a very busy doctor. And so she said, reach out to Marcy Steiner and get that extra help and support that you need as you cross that line. And so I did, and reaching up to your support is huge. That's why they're there. They want us to reach out to them and to get that help and get that assistance. And she was just ready with open arms. Let's make this happen. And so she just guided me as, like, look into your organization and see whose auto ships haven't run, who's not qualified as a distributor, who do you have in your funnel. This could be, some business partners come in. This could be, we could fill in the gap with customers. And it was so amazing, the power of that third party connection, because one gal who loves the products, thinks they're just incredible, has been wanting to order some more things. And I connected her with Marcy because out of the blue, wouldn't you know it, she just said, I'm kind of interested in joining the business. And so I connected her with Marcy, and it was a great conversation. It was just so amazing and so beautiful to see just to listen in on this conversation. And I learned so much in the process, and there was a lot of clarification that was brought to my friend about like how we do this business, and how it's so different from so many other things. And so that conversation and door is wide open for the business when that timing is right. And she placed an order. And then I had another gal who just wanted to get started, but she just wasn't sure how. And so I also had the opportunity to connect her with Marcy. And wouldn't you know it, they end up having a business conversation, which originally it was more focused on product. So that power of having somebody else come in and validate the business, like have you thought about this as a way of some extra income? And so it was really great to see that power of the team coming into play with very specific people that were in my funnel that were quite close, but just needed that extra love and that extra help and that support. And one other thing that we do in LifeVantage that I think is so very powerful is we have our customer education groups, and we can add people in those groups, and we can tag them on different things that are relevant to them and would be interesting to them. And so one particular person that I had been communicating with, he was asking a couple of questions. And so one really easy way to validate and help provide him with more information was I was able to find some posts, and I tagged him on them. And then I just sent him a message and said, hey, I tagged you on such and such a post that speaks directly to that question that you have. And so he, immediately was able to go over, to the customer group and get that validation that he needed. And he ended up placing a 3-month order. And so, I mean, all these different things just kind of adding up was enough to help me reach that goal. And I can't speak quite enough to just the right timing. I reached out and said there are promotions. Would it be helpful if I filled you in? I want to keep you in the loop. And so I would reach out in care and concern. This is a great time to save money. Everybody wants to be kept in the loop and to know how they can save some money here and there, or how can they increase their health and their immune system. And so it was a really wonderful experience just to get that help and that support from my team members, those that I met all the way back in the beginning. And so the community that we have of just that camaraderie and support and help has truly been remarkable. And so that in a nutshell is how I was able to, along with my team, I mean, it's a group effort, definitely reaching out to all of our people to come together for such a goal. So thank you, Lilia, so much for the opportunity.
Of course, and your story is amazing, my friend. Pregnant at Global, like can that read any more dedication? And I just love how real you are. We understand that holidays happen, but even then you still found time to invest into your business and to be able to reach those goals that you had set for yourself. And you hit that star right on, my friend. Teamwork. I know I personally wouldn't be able to achieve some of the goals here, on my day-to-day work without some of the support that I get from my teammates. And I've had the pleasure to work with you, Dr. Kat, and Marcy, and teamwork just echoes throughout you guys. And really do appreciate you coming in and sharing your story, Lee. Thank you so much for your time. And again, congratulations, my friend. I can't wait to see you reach Pro 5, because we know that's going to be your next goal. And we're going to be right there with you once you reach it.
Thank you.
Of course. You have a good night, my friend.
You too.
And to keep this great momentum going, guys, our last presenter is out of Hawaii. She is a new Elite Pro 7. And just a quick reminder for those of you that don't know, a Pro 7 here at LifeVantage brings in a minimum of 100,000 in sales volume each month. She was able to achieve this rank in October. And outside of LifeVantage, this go-getter is an author of 3 cookbooks, not 1, not 2, 3 cookbooks. And she is also a co-owner to an award-winning vegan restaurant. So busy, she was still able to reach and achieve this milestone. Let me help me introduce her and welcome her by showing her some love in chat. Jennifer Murray, how are you doing, my friend?
Oh, thank you, Lilia, so much. I'm doing great. And thank you, Lee, for that wonderful share. And just thank you to everyone for coming and spending the time with us here today. It's, you know, we're at a time, especially now, where we all are so busy. I feel like that is the sort of the order of the day. You don't even really need to ask anybody anymore if they're busy. It's just sort of assumed that, yep, we all are. I don't know what it is, but I've talked to a lot of people over the years, and we're all sort of pushed and maxed. You know, we all are givers. We're all doing what we can, and this year has definitely forced a lot of us to get super creative about what we're doing with our time. And so I just wanted to sort of shed a little light on, you know, why do I think this is so valuable? What about this makes it so worth your time, you know, for coming here today? Because, you know, for me, when this found me, like Lilia said, I was a cookbook author. I was busy. I was hustling. I was trying to make it in this very interesting world. And my experience up until that point had showed me that I really wanted to do my own thing. I really wanted to, I wasn't really that fascinated with being somebody's employee already at that point in my life. Backtracking before the cooking career, I lived in San Francisco, and my one real job I had when I was there, I had gone to the Fashion Institute in Manhattan and gotten a degree in pattern making. I moved out to San Francisco and I got a real job working for a major clothing manufacturer there. And I noticed some very interesting things, you know, when I started out there that I found pretty disturbing for me. I know that some people, they really thrive on a steady paycheck, right? That's something that some people can't sleep at night without that. So they need that. And I honor that. And I understand that that's what a lot of people need. For me, what I was looking at when I started there was people who had been working there for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. A lot of them did that together. They saw each other graduate from college, get married, have children, raise children, you know, all together. And something that really shook me in that phase was that I saw that people were able to override their instincts, right? And sort of sacrifice their desires and their visions and their dreams in pursuit of this steady paycheck. And as a young woman just starting off in life, that scared me. I saw people, I mean, anybody who has children, I'm sure can attest, the number one thing in your life is the care of those people. But when you have a full-time, you know, high-paying job, your job is to be present at your job 8 or 9 hours a day. And the care of those precious little people I was already seeing, that's a side hustle. That's what people were side hustling, was their families. And what had to take center stage was putting clothes into the mall. And that was scary to me. But what I noticed happened over the next couple of years was I got used to it. I got used to seeing it. I got used to that behavior being modeled for me. It became, those things made their way into my comfort zone. I was used to it. I enjoyed the check. I never had to think about money. And And I was still young, and I knew there was a huge career ahead of me, and I was starting to really get used to that plan. When all of a sudden my family decided to take a trip to Hawaii. My sister, my older sister, was living out here, and she had a restaurant, and she had a 4-year-old that I loved dearly. And she announced while we were here that she was pregnant. And in the midst of owning a restaurant and having another child, she was, you know, in the beginning stages of pregnancy, and possibly a little, she was feeling overwhelmed. And out of my mouth flew this commitment that I was going to move here for 2 months and help her out. I don't know why I said it. I couldn't believe it when I got back. It changed my whole life, that one sentence, but I followed through. I quit my job. I remembered, I backpedaled, and I remembered, you know, those feelings when I had first started that job. And I said, well, what about giving your life another shot? What about giving your dreams and your visions and your, you know, plan for life another shot? And so I came out to Hawaii with, my plan was for 2 months. And what wound up happening was I discovered that my sister was running this restaurant. I thought they wanted help with a baby. What they really wanted was help with a restaurant. And I got pulled into this little health food restaurant in the middle of the ocean, where people would come to eat, seemingly innocent enough, and they would leave very changed. It was a vegan restaurant. There's an incredibly meat-loving culture that we live in. And people would come of all walks of life and just tell us how amazing and how wonderful and how they felt so good eating this food. And I just wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to be a part of something that made people feel good. I wanted to be sharing, you know, something with people that nourished them and helped their life. And so I invested every dime that I had ever saved into that restaurant, and I moved here. And fast forward to 2008, when the economy was crashing. By that time, we had a small juice bar and bakery, a 90-seat restaurant, and a small publishing company for our cookbook. And we had over 50 employees, and we were as stressed as human beings could possibly be. It was crazy. And to tell you the truth, we shut the doors of that restaurant with so much relief in our hearts, as sad and difficult as it was to say goodbye. We had won best restaurant on Kauai with that little endeavor, and this is a land of 5-star resorts and world-class chefs. So that was quite a high honor. We had something very special, but it was killing us. It took every ounce of our waking hours. We couldn't walk away from it without stressing and worrying. We hardly took days off. It was something interesting. And when you have a nice, you know, fun, friendly restaurant, everybody just sort of slaps you on the back and tells you what a good job you're doing, and it gives you a lot of support for carrying on. But I don't think people really understand how incredibly stressful it really was. I was 38 years old when these products came into my life, and I considered myself as incredibly healthy. I thought that I sort of, all those years in this field, and you know, I went on to write 2 more cookbooks, and just, I was submersed in wellness in general. And I really believed that all that people needed to be in their A game was a really healthy diet, exercise, keep your stress level down, get sunshine, you know, spend time outside, that kind of thing. And that was as far as it went. I didn't take supplements. I wasn't into adding, you know, more in. I thought that was a very confusing sphere to even dive into. Where do you start and where do you stop when it comes to supplements? So when my girlfriend started insinuating that perhaps Protandim was going to help me, I was incredibly skeptical. Honestly, I wasn't even paying attention to her in the beginning. And then after months of her being so perseverant and continuing to bring it up despite all of the eye rolling, etc., I decided to be a good friend and try the product. In my mind, I was giving it 1 month. There was no way it was going to work, but I was going to get to tell her, okay, I tried your product, please leave me alone, I'll be on my way. I was determined that it wasn't going to work, mind you. And so that's when I started the digging. And that's when I started really looking into what is oxidative stress? What is this whole story about, you know, our cellular health and our cellular well-being, and using plant extracts to communicate with our cells to bring them back to their optimal, you know, level. And what I learned was that by leaps and bounds, by practically a quantum leap, that the forefront of wellness had been pushed forward in my lifetime, that something extraordinary had been discovered in the last 30 years that was just waiting for a voice, waiting for people to tell other people and get this story out there. And that is how I wound up tiptoeing into this business. Honestly, I still did not come in full steam ahead, but I knew that I was going to tell people about it. I knew that I knew that people were already noticing the difference. I mean, people were asking me, what are you doing differently? So I knew there was a financial potential there, but I still didn't understand the power of network marketing. And I still didn't see the full picture of what this could bring into my life. And so I continued. I was a private chef. I cooked for a lot of retreats. And I would be busy for a couple of weeks at a time. I had told some people, I had some customers, I had even signed up a couple of distributors already, but I wasn't taking it very seriously. I needed to cook, I needed to earn a living. And a couple of weeks would go by where I really hadn't done anything much for the business. And I would come and check in my little back office, and some numbers were bigger. Things had happened without me. And I want to tell you, that never happened in any of my other businesses. Far from it, and quite the opposite. So that got my attention. That really did. And then I decided I'd go to an event like the one Lee was talking about, a conference from LifeVantage. And what I saw there completely changed my mind about network marketing. Because essentially what the whole conference was people standing on stage telling me how to do it. The most successful people in the company standing on stage telling me how to succeed in this business. And I want to tell you that that never happened in my cookbook career. Nobody stands up on a stage and tells you how to run a successful restaurant. Nobody does these kind of things for you in other industries. And I realized that this wasn't going to be like other industries, that these people weren't in competition with me, that my success was their success. And so it behooved them to let me know, you know, let me in on the secrets or whatever of the trade. And that opened a door so big that if somebody invited you to this call or to look at Protandim or to look at this business, or if you're just new in the business trying to get a hold of what this is, it's so much bigger than you think. And there is no ceiling. There's no recognizable ceiling in this business for how far you could take it. When Lilia said a Pro 7 is someone who has 100,000, you know, in volume in her business, I almost like took me back for a second to think, oh yeah, that's right. That's what's going on here, you know, but I've never been able to be motivated by money. I've never really done anything in my life just to get a financial reward. But knowing that there's billions of people out there that do not know that the forefront of wellness has taken a quantum leap in our lifetime, that they can affect their health and let other people know that there's a way to take care of ourselves at such a deep and profound level that you get your energy back, that you don't have to wake up at 38 years old and get out of bed like an 85-year-old like I was. It's been 7.5 years. I am 46 years old and I feel 10 years younger than the day that I started taking these products. And I got to where I am today only because I want to help people and other people also want to help people. There's no other thing that we do. I spend most of my time on Zooms just telling people about Protandim, sharing stories of how we're feeling, and you know, a lot of times I could have quit. I could have quit this 1 million times over the last 7.5 years. People pushed my comfort zone so many times, so many things I had to learn to stretch that comfort zone to include. But nobody in this business has ever asked me to ignore my family. or sacrifice my dreams or my visions or my desires. So I stand super firmly inside of this business as a successful network marketer, simply because I have the heart, just like Lee said, to help other people, to share what my experience was, what happened to me. And it seems like a little bit of a mystery when you're standing on the outside looking in, what this business is, what will I have to do? So I'm just here to share with you that there will be plenty of people to hold your hand and help you along the way. And you don't have to do it all yourself, and we will just stand there and tell you exactly what works and what doesn't work and help you get, whatever you want accomplished. There's so many different levels that that people are happy with in this business, and we're just here to help people get what they want out of it. So thank you, Lilia. I know we're at the time, so I won't keep on going on about my favorite subject, but thanks for having me.